I'm Kesenya, and recently I posted an article which talked about the Soul Planet. And so I decided, after all the questions that I received about the Soul Planet, that it would be a good idea to talk about the Karakas. Now, the Karakas are a Jamini Astrology assessment tool or technique, and it refers to planets and their longitude in the chart. And how it actually works is by judging the different longitudinal degrees, we can then ascertain what each different planet means for us on a very, very personal level. In uh, ancient schools of astrology, we had Venus representing certain things, relationships and beauty and love, and Mars representing war and that warrior nature, and so on and so on for all the planets. Well, when we talk about the Karakas in Jamini astrology, we're actually talking about each planet. Doesn't matter what its overarching general theme is, where it falls in regards to its longitudinal degree actually gives it extra significance on a very personal level. And that might sound a bit strange and hard to get a grip on, but I will explain it a little more as we go through this video. So the first thing we want to look at is the planet with the highest degree in the horoscope. This is called the Atmakaraka. And this is what I refer to when I talk about the soul planet, because the Atmakaraka in Jamini astrology, it represents your soul and your soul's journey this lifetime, what you're here to discover, to grow from on a soul level. I'll use my Atmakaraka planet as an example. My Atmakaraka planet, interestingly enough, happens to be Mars, located at 28 degrees of Leo. So you can imagine, for me, in this last 2 to 3 weeks since the eclipse has occurred at that very degree, my soul has gone through massive upheaval, like you've no idea. But the whole world is experiencing that type of stressful, overwhelm energy, that devastating sort of energy at the moment. But for me personally, I'm feeling it on a soul level because of the location of my Atmakaraka. Now that I'll just point out, I don't want to be sort of all negative and everything, but when you go through some kind of ending in life, it heralds new beginnings. Endings always mean new beginnings in some way. So yes, the world's going through all this upheaval. Personally, on my own level, my soul is going through some kind of a really in-depth transformation at the moment. But the thing that's keeping my head above water, so to speak, is the knowledge that it's actually going to mean a new beginning. And I love new beginnings. So I'm hanging in there, and I hope everyone else is too, with the eclipse residue energy, if you like. But back to the significance of the Atmakaraka. For my Atmakaraka being Mars, I like to, for my own understanding, to give it some kind of a archetypal framework or context. And Mars is the warrior. Mars is the courageous hero. It is the entrepreneur, the instigator, the go-getter energy. So for me, my soul journey this lifetime is all about being that warrior. Interestingly enough, my Atmakaraka planet, Mars, is in Leo, and therefore I like to think of it as being, because Leo is the sign of royalty, it's the sign of the king, or if you want to take the gender out of it, the king or the queen, or a princess, or it's that very royal, regal sign. So my Atmakaraka is, to me, the warrior princess. And I love that, because that's a lot of the time what it feels like as I go journey through life. Yep, I have to be brave, I have to be courageous. That's what my soul is here to experience. And I need to do it in a very dignified way as much as I'm able to. The the interesting thing is, my parents had no idea of that. My parents don't subscribe to the ideas of astrology, but they named me Kesenya, which in Greek, the Greek version of Kesenya happens to be Xena. And I don't know if you're like me, a child of the 80s and 90s, but um, there was a show called Xena, Warrior Princess. And when I read that that's what my name is in Greek, I was like, oh my goodness, how perfect is that? The way the world works in such synchronicity, it's just delightful. So in the birth chart, the um, the planets that are aspecting your soul planet are really, really significant. For me, I have the moon aspecting my soul planet. And interestingly enough, my warrior journey, my warrior princess journey this lifetime is heavily connected to children and motherhood because my soul planet is aspected by the moon. Very, very significant. So my soul journey, my soul transformation, my soul growth is all tied to the idea of being a warrior princess with regard to motherhood. So I found that a really insightful tool when I do people's charts to look at an archetypal character for the soul planet and also relate it to what is being aspected and what that is then triggering in somebody's nature. A well aspected soul planet will actually mean great success in life. Equally, a soul planet that has a lot of hard aspects to it will probably mean a lot more challenge. Doesn't mean that a success can't be achieved, but the soul journey is going to be one of lots of upheaval, and unfortunately, that's my scenario. And so life is all about crisis situations, even if not in an external sense crisis, but an internal crisis situations that lead to transformation and soul growth ultimately. And that's the thing we always have to keep in mind when we're going through crisis, is that the aim is always growth. So that's the Atma Karaka, the planet with the highest degree in the natal chart. So you might like to go and check what that planet is for you, what has the highest degree, and then see what that perhaps represents in your life and your soul journey. I will point out, and I probably should have said this at the start, but the Jamini technique uses the 7 visible planets. So we use the 7 visible planets to determine what our soul planet and the subsequent karakas that I'm going to talk about are. So you will be looking for the sun and the moon as luminaries, but also come under the terminology of planets in this instance, and then Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. We can also incorporate modern planets, and we say modern planets, even though some of them are 200 years old. We look at Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto as well, and that can give us some extra insight for sure, and extra themes to our particular soul journey or the other karakas. But generally, when we're talking the Jamini technique, we're using the 7 visible planets. So if you're looking at your chart, you might like to incorporate the invisible to the naked eye planets as well as the visible planets, and just see what that says for you in your chart. So we've talked about the planet with the highest degree in the chart. The planet with the next degree down, so I had 28 degrees of Leo, my Mars is at, and that's my Atma Karaka. So then the planet with the next lowest degree, for me, it's my moon at 23 degrees Libra. So 28 degrees for Mars, 23 degrees for Libra, and we're going to keep going down and down until we reach the planet with the lowest degree. But the next one down is all about career. It's all about profession. It's all about our intellect and our passions. This is called the Amacha Karaka. And if you want to get some idea about careers or interests or passions that you can pursue in life, that will give you a lot of satisfaction, then you can look to this Karaka as an indicator of what that might mean. For me, For me, I have Moon as my career planet, and so anything tied to looking after children or even other moon type energies, anything that involves being a nurturer or a guide in terms of other people's evolution, that's something that I can look at as a potential career option. Anything that requires a great deal of empathy, because the moon is often indicative of empathetic ability. In the chart, depending on where it's placed. And so, if we're looking at career, we need to look at, say, where the career planet happens to be placed for us in the chart, and what that perhaps then indicates in terms of career options and professional options. The next planet down in degrees in your chart will represent your siblings and your brothers and sisters, and how you relate to them, what they're like, how they achieve in life themselves, and pretty much their role in your journey through life. So this is called, now I hope I can pronounce this one right, the Brihat Parashara. You might like to write and correct me if I'm wrong with that one. I'm not brilliant at Sanskrit, let me tell you. But that's what it represents. It represents the siblings in our life, and how we interact with them, and what their role is by the placement of the type of planet and the character of the planet and the placement of the planet in our chart, and also the aspects made to that particular planet as well. The next planet down in degree, or the fourth planet from your top degree planet, the Soul Planet, is the Mercury Karaka. And the Mercury Karaka represents, very similarly to the fourth house in the chart, our roots and our heritage, and it also represents the mother. Now, around this area, there are a couple of different schools of thought, and things break up a little. It's considered that in some schools of thought that the Matrikaraka is actually representative of the parents, both parents, the nurturing parent and the provider parent, male, female. And then there's other schools of thought that say, no, this is just the mother, and there's another Karaka for the father. I tend to kind of see this one as representative of both. But keep this in mind when you look at your own chart. There might be you might find that one way plays out better for you in your interpretation than another. And this is where the next step comes in. The Pitru Karaka is, in some cases, representative of the father, but in other cases, it represents in other schools of thought, I should say, it represents the children, and it has its links to the fifth house of creativity, of pleasure, joy, entertainment, all those fifth house kind of things. And so when you find this Karaka, the fifth Karaka from the top degree planet, then you get an indication of how children will play out in your life. You get an indication of what they'll be like, and you'll get an indication of how successful they'll be or not. And that can be seen by the Pitru Karaka, which is the planet that has the fifth smallest degree, if you like, in the chart. So, for example, my Pitru Karaka for me is at 11 degrees of Cancer, and that's my Mercury. And my children are very witty, very bright, very very outgoing and social, and very joyful and fun and playful, as many children are. But my children are like particularly like the social connectors. We've got children at our house, all their friends come over all the time, nearly every night of the week. They're just that really social, like to be where the action is kind of children, and that's seen by Mercury being the Pitru Karaka. The next one is the Nati Karaka. And this one is tied to sixth house matters. So this can represent our health, and our well-being, our physical ability to do life. It can also represent conflicts, and if badly aspected, you may find that there's um, perhaps a lot of conflict in your life. If it's well aspected, you might find that your ride through life is very smooth and unflurried. You also might find that your health is very vigorous and good. So this can be seen by the Karaka with the sixth lowest degree. And yeah, it's very tied to sixth house things, and can often also indicate where we will be of service to the world, where we will be, where we can give our energies in terms of making the world a better place, of fixing things, of making things right, which are all tied to sixth house things. And finally, and this is the one for all you single people out there, you've all been waiting for, this is the Dara Karaka. This is represented by the planet with the lowest degree, and it will indicate the kind of person that you will be drawn to as a spouse, as a partner. So, for example, my Dara Karaka is the sun. I'm always attracted to people who are very bright and shining and visible and very strong and full of leadership. All those Sun/Leo qualities I admire in people, and they're the people I'm drawn to, interestingly enough. So for you, what's your Dara Karaka? What's the planet with the lowest degree? Does it represent your partner that you currently have? Does it represent the kind of men or women that you're drawn to in a relationship sense? What does your Dara Karaka say about you, and where is it placed in your chart? And what does that mean for you, particularly in terms of your relationships in general, and the kind of relationships that you have? What are the aspects to that planet? What is the dignity of that planet in the sign that it's in? All these things we take into consideration when we're assessing these various aspects of our life: our parents, our children, our spouse and partners, our career longings and aspirations, our health and well-being, and our soul. All these things represented by the Karakas in the chart, and it makes for a very interesting reading of the natal chart. And also, if you're into this sort of thing, a very interesting reading of things like the D9 and the D12 and even the D60, because there's a lot of indications there about who we are as well. But that's for another video on another day. In the meantime, I do hope that you are coping with this post-eclipse resonance, and that somehow, yeah, you are feeling some soul liberation and expansion and growth at this time, and that it's all good. So bless you all. Thank you for your time, and I hope I was able to help you learn something today.